Okay guys, it's Ross again. Back along, I showed you the box of the Blades of Khorne Skull Altar. I will show you the box now. Yes. And I did a brief unboxing. So, a few months gone by, I've actually decided to get my button gear and actually build it. And do a small review and a how to paint video. So, this piece of scenery here is pretty damn good to put together, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. I thought it was going to get covered in glue, need a few elastic bands to hold it together while it's going off. But basically, stairs, two sides joined together, and then you start building the altar from the front to the back, just a panel at a time, and you slide one of these in. Really easy to do. It's like little nipples on each of the blades in between, and they just interlock quite easily. Minimal mess. Really chuffed with the detail on it as well. Like this piece already. And I thought I'll show you how I would paint it. So, first things first, on the back, they give you a brief description of how they painted the box art. So, normally I like to do things a bit differently. But this one here looks pretty damn pimpin'. It is very Khorne in the way it's painted. I might do the actual steps slightly different because they're a bit too goldy for me. So do like the bronzy goldy on everything that they've done, and the reds, and slightly whiter possibly for the skulls, so more like a bleached bone rather than a seriously aged bone, and then like more of a stone step colour. So they recommend obviously Citadel colours, Khorne red, followed by an Agrax wash, and then Astaroth red for the reds. The brass is Retributor armour and no oil wash, and then Necron compound, which probably isn't too dissimilar to what I would do. Okay, right, well, totally not what I would do in the way of skulls, but Iron Rash skin, the Sepia wash, and then Rack white over the top. So they're a bit too yellow for my mind. I would probably do like Rackar flesh and a Sepia wash, and then maybe bleach bone edge highlights. But this is what I'm going to do. So first things first, I'm going to prime this thing. I'm actually going to start off a bit darker because the artwork is quite bright. So I will sort my paint station out and my airbrush, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, so I've got a little bit of black in the bowl. I'm just going to get in all the difficult bits first, as per always with an airbrush. Once you get the difficult bits, all in the recesses. Surface is always easy. You never want to put too many layers of paint on, do you? Even with an airbrush, I know it's nice and thin and even. The idea is smooth all the way, smooth transitions, thin layers of paint. Getting all the recesses of the skulls, all the billions of skulls. Should do a video on how many skulls there is in this damn thing. So, airbrushes are just so much faster, but you can take your time. Just paint these things with a regular brush if you like. Just remember to thin your paints a little bit and get in all those recesses first. But yeah, looking good so far. So this piece of terrain is going to our local club. Even though I haven't been playing AOS much, I think I've played 2 games in the 2nd edition. I really must get back into it. I need some more black. But, yeah, this alone makes me want to get back into the game. I know there's a lot of AOS players at our local club, so I'm sure everyone can get good use out of it. We're just using some Vallejo airbrush paint straight out of the bottle. Not thinning it down at all. Vallejo airbrush paints tend to be pretty good, but I did test it a little bit on the surface of my mat. I'm using it on the model just in case. So not hitting it too fast, nice and gently, but making sure I get in all the recesses. I mean, just look at all those skulls there. That's a lot of recesses, right? Go over this thing a couple of times just to make sure I've got everything. But I'm not going to bore you with keep spraying this black. You get the idea. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now the paint's all dry, a nice black undercoat. I want to do a bit of zenith highlighting, so if you haven't seen any videos that I've done on it, or anything on the internet, don't know a damn thing about it. Basically, in a nutshell, I want to spray like this section, just the center part of each panel. So when I do the final coat, it should look brighter in the center. So I'm just going to do a little bit of, let's do it roughly, just like that. See what I mean? So hopefully when I get to the top coat, this bit that looks the brightest, which is what I want, the bit in the centre. Okay, I'll repeat that on the back. And when that dries, I might hit the white a bit harder. Like so. I'm going to do a little bit around here, right? Just a little bit. At this stage you don't have to be neat. Just the approximate centre of each panel. Now, this is an extra option. You don't have to do this, but I would like to make it pop a little bit more. That's the theory in a way. So once again, I'm just going to hit the centre of these, just a tad brighter. Okay, not looking too bad, not looking too bad. A little bit there, possibly. Okay, maybe a little bit there. It's probably getting a bit carried away with it now, isn't he? No. So that's the idea. Bit of zenithal highlighting. Right. Hopefully when this is all dry, this will look lovely. Right, now to pick my reds. Okay, the red I'm going to use is, once again, a Vallejo paint. And it is Scarlet Red. So I thought that looked quite corny. Might be a bit too bright, but here we go. It's the first time I've used this before, so nice, even, light coverage. Getting all the nooks and crannies. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too bright on the red, but we'll see what it's like when it dries. And I'm just going to have 2 thin coats. So we'll see what it looks like when it dries there. At the moment that could be a bit too bright with the zenithal highlight. It's a lovely colour though, Vallejo always do lovely colours. Oh, I think so anyway. Nice and smooth, gentle, even coats. Getting all the nooks and crannies, so there's no time for detail yet. Doesn't matter if it's overspray on what you think is going to be brass. And I need a reload, so another shot of this straight out of the bottle. Used Vallejo quite a bit before, so just double check still anyway. Doesn't hurt to double check just to make sure there's no nasty bits, but always shake your dropper bottles first. Make sure there's no lumps or anything in there. Airbrushes don't like that. Pretty good so far. Working it around these chains, all the little nooks and crannies. Okay, not looking too bad, not looking too bad, fairly smooth. I'll just have a quick check over, see if there's anywhere I missed. Okay, so it's quite garish, but we'll see what that looks like when it settles down. Could be alright. Right. Come back when it dries. Righto, so when that was all dry, I've put some Carlsberg Crimson wash on this lovely thing to make it a little bit darker in the recesses. Because it was a bit too garish. So I've calmed it all down a bit by putting a Carlsberg Crimson on. And now I'm thinking about dry brushing some Airbrushing Scarlet. So makeup brush, brilliant for dry brushing. Old tile that I really should clean. And just work it into the makeup brush. So getting off as much paint as possible for a dry brush. So you can do this on maybe a bit of paper towel or something as well. So get as much out as possible. Just hit the centre with the dry brush. Just like that. So should just bring up all the raised areas so the wash gets in all the recesses, and this picks up the high areas, so that should make a bit more detail in places like that. Okay. So make sure you go over all the red on the model. Just the centre of the panels probably be best. Hit it a bit harder, to be fair. Bringing up some lovely detail there. So the panels on this thing aren't smooth. They're quite rough, like beaten panels. So I want to get as much detail out of it as possible. I know it's only a piece of scenery. It's, you know, it's Khorne. It's not going to be pristine or anything, but make it pop a little bit. Push my limits. Okay, and when you're happy with that, I think I'm going to pick on the skulls next. So making the top part a bit brighter. Be as rough as you like with these makeup brushes. They can take it. They're like the marines of the brush world. Do not do any dry brushing with any brushes you want to keep. Any costly brushes, because they will not take it. It's not what they're designed for, and you end up just killing them. okay, reasonably happy with that. Quite good. So quite a bit of detail on the higher edges. Also a bit there where the wash sank in first. So dry brush after wash, get the high areas. Not bad. Right. Next, 1 billion skulls. Alright. Okay, so my next port call is the skulls. So you may have noticed a slight difference on this. Spot the deliberate mistake. I forgot to paint the top of the steps. Now I was going to do that some kind of like slate grey, but it turns out I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be same colour as everything else. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to pick up all the highlighted areas of the skulls with just the side of my brush first, so I know what I'm painting. I'm picking out all the details of the thousands of individual skulls. So this video time is probably going to be about a week then, as there is a ton of skulls. Surprisingly, for a Chaos Altar, who would have thought? A lot of skulls. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Bluff the blockage. So we'll go back over that again in a minute. So rather than swamping all the recesses, I thought I'll just do sideways with a brush and go back over it again in a minute. So I'm using, for my skulls, I mean obviously you can use whatever you want, bit of Racar flesh. It's not what I recommended on the box, but that's what I like. And once this is dry, probably hit it with a little bit of sepia, and then go over it again with this stuff, and then maybe some edge highlights or a dry brush with bleach bone or something like that. Wash my brush off. Right, I'll come back after a billion skulls later. 1,000 skulls so far. Another 10,000 to go. Right, and then put in another layer on the highest point on the skulls as well. Get in there, kids. Next, for the skulls, I'm going to use a bit of the sepia wash. Be careful not to knock over the bottle. Now I'm going to do it, I know. So, just really soaking those skulls. Really working the wash in there. And once this is dried, I will go over the skulls again. This is just how I do skulls. And of course you can go ultra bright white polished skulls. And finish with a bit of skull white on the edge highlights. For me that's a bit too white. Bleach bone kind of look is about what I want to go for. And I could even use the paint bleach bone. But this is how I do it. It's a fairly fast way, like most of my painting. Just a little bit of scroll there. So many skulls. Yeah, really work that wash in there. Okay, I'll do the rest and I'll come back later on. Or else it'll be Skull TV. 3 hours of uninterrupted painting skulls. Okay, so the skulls aren't looking too bad now, looking pretty good. Might pick some more detail out later on. Next thing for me, I think I'm going to go with the steely colours. So these blades will be the next thing for me. Right, using a little bit of GW's, we're using a lead belcher. Using a tile. And just picking out the basic part of the blade. Now this may need 2 coats. Nice and thin to get it pretty smooth. Right, so I'm going to do every blade like this. And once they're all done, probably go over again with a second coat. It's covering quite well, but don't want any of that red shining through. Right, so rather than watch me paint every single one, I think I will pause it here and come back when I've done all the blades. Okay, once the silvers are done, the base coat of silver, so that was in lead belcher. So I've done it on the blades and I've done it on the chains as well. Now I'm going to apply even, I swear I haven't been drinking, no oil wash to the chains. So this should make the recesses nice and dark. Now I was contemplating whether to make the chains rusty or not, but I was thinking with the golds and the bronzes I'll do later on, too much of the same kind of browny tone would be a bit much. So I'm going to apply this quite heavily to the blades and the chains. And once this is dry, I'm going to go over the edges again with the lead belcher. So I'm putting this stuff on quite heavily, getting to all the recesses of the chains there. Okay. I mean, later on if we want to apply some rust to the chain, it's totally fine, but I was just worried a little bit it's going to be too many browny colours. So obviously bronze and the golds of brown in it. I want to make it look worn and weathered, but I don't want to make it look too much like one colour. But you can always add to it, you can't take it away. Right, so I'm going to come back, I think, once I've done all the blades and chains, show you again before doing the next stage, which is edge highlight and dry brushes for lead belcher on the same part. Alright, back in a bit. So once everything's dry, I think I'm just going to go with like edges of the blade with a little bit more of the lead belcher. If it's not bright enough, I think I might hit it slightly brighter. So, do have Khorne compound, which is quite shiny. But you can add it to taste, so I think that's fairly shiny on the edges. I think I might want to hit it a bit harder, so what I'll do is I'll paint the actual edges of the blade like this. And once that's dry, Khorne compound edges again. It's not too bad actually, I'll see what it looks like when it dries. But yeah, I'll come back again once all of these blade edges have been done. Okay, just start hitting record as it looks like a monsoon is happening outside, but I will carry on. Alright, so I've got a bit of Khorne compound on a makeup brush. Get it as dry as possible. So maybe use a little bit of paper towel, get off the excess. There we go, got off the excess. And I'll just slowly start dragging it across the highlighted areas. Bring up a bit of the detail on the edges of the blades. It's looking pretty cool. Happy with that. So just dragging it across. Dragging it across there. Less is probably more. Just picking up all the raised areas. It's looking pretty cool. Still got the thousands of gold stripping edgings to do. That's going to be the time consuming bit. Thankfully you will be watching me paint every step of the way. I'll skip that bit so you don't fall into some kind of paint coma. But what a way to go though, paint coma. So remember, you can do these chains a little bit rusty if you wanted to. I'm going to keep them fairly clean because I don't want too much of the same kind of colours going on. So rusts and the bronzy sections might get lost. So they're side by side. Alright, I'll come back. I'm ready to do the brass and bronze and all that stuff. Okay, so a million gold strips later, so I've traced the gold all around the edging with a bit of GW Retributor armour. Lovely gold paint, covers quite well, but I've gone over it twice just to make sure. Probably one of the better golds I think they've ever done, or any company's probably done, for the price. And next, the washing on the gold. Alright, I think what I will go for is a little bit of, I think no oil is probably too dark, sepia is too young, so I'm going to go for a Agrax Earthshade wash on the gold. When that's fully dry, I'm going to try a little bit of this Necron compound on the gold. Yes, that's right, silver on the gold. It's crazy, right? But if you're going to highlight gold, best colour is actually silver. So give your Agrax a nice shake, because if you don't, when it dries, it will lead some weird and wonderful colours. Now watch me spill this on camera, drenching my worktop, that would be amazing. Give my brush a little wash. Okie dokie, so wipe off the excess. Now just hitting the gold, probably a bit harder than that, with the Agrax. Working it into all the nooks and crannies. Alright. So, in hindsight, maybe I should have gone with gold first through the airbrush and then down on the red. I'm not entirely sure which is worse. Or I could always buy another one, just get an excuse to buy another one, and paint it that way around. In the interest of science, find out which is the better way of doing it. That's my excuse anyway. Okay, I'll come back after I've painted 1,000,000 bits of gold. So obviously that's wet. We'll see what it looks like when it dries. Okay, so now here comes the Necron compound. So I've got makeup brush, wipe off the excess, get rid of anything extra on the brush, so it should be just a nice dry brush, pin up the edge highlights. So get real close, making that bronze pop just a little bit. Only on the edges, so just on the spikes. Edges of the bronze there. And inside this, just the edges. Remember, this is a dry brush, a very light dry brush. So just making that stand out a little bit. Okay. And this is it for the final stage. Go as heavy or light as you like. I don't want to make it too shiny looking, because Khorne cares not for cleaning. Just upstairs just a little bit. Okay. And that is the finished product. Get rid of that brush in the background. So, only a few hours, the worst bit had got to be painting all the gold. So it could have been an easy way of doing it. But yeah. There it is, guys. Tell me what you think. Thank you very much for watching my video on how to paint a Blades of Khorne skull altar.